turned round on the altar and he said to us, I know, see, that you all will join with me in the offering up this Mass for the souls of your dead comrades who are on their way to the Maker this minute. Rory O'Connor, Liam Mellors, Dick Barrett and Joe McKelvey. Then pandemonium of this. Sure, the man jumped up, but you were locked in, you could do nothing. I seen John Lamass, John T.O. Kelly, Dr. Ryan, they were all prisoners. I seen them crying like children.
Altogether, 77 Republicans taken in arms were to be executed by the Irish Free State in 7 months, twice the number executed by the British since 1916. More were actually sentenced to death.
But they didn't carry out the sentence. They left you under the sentence. But if somebody on their side, on the other side, was shot while you were in prison, well, your life could go for it. So you were condemned to death, and you had the agony of never knowing whether you were going to die or not.
On the army generally, it was a great damper. Nobody wanted to get involved in that kind of thing. It's one thing to stand up and trade shots with a man. It's another thing to get him out when he's helpless and kill him. So that it had a very bad effect in that way.
In the field, many more anti-treaty Republicans were killed out of hand when they surrendered.
He gave us a cigarette. He said, that's the last cigarette he'll ever again smoke. He said, we're going to blow you up at a mine, a wildflower mine. Anyone didn't say anything. We were moved out into the yard, then out, marched into a lorry, and made that lie flat down in the lorry, and taken out to Ballyseedy. We arrived out and the language was abusive language, wasn't too good. But one fella called us Irish bastards, and he was an Irishman himself. But another fella, one of our lads asked to be left to say his prayers. He said, no prayers. He said, our fellas didn't get any time for prayers. And he said, maybe some of you might go to heaven. He said, you might meet our fellas there. And they tied us in, our hands behind our back, and left about a foot between the hands, like, and the next fella. In the circle, they tied us in a circle in around the mine. And they tied our legs in, and the knees as well, with a rope. And then they took off our caps and they said we could be praying away now as long as we like. So the next fellow to me said his prayers and I said mine too. But I still kept watching for they went, like. It was that saved me afterwards. But he said goodbye then, and I said goodbye, and the next fellow picked it up and he said goodbye, goodbye lads, and up it went. And I went up with it, of course.
You had so many people who were in favour of the treaty. You had all the pro-British people, all the settled business people and all this kind of thing. And of course you had the clergy who used the pulpit very much to denounce you at every opportunity that you were being, well, you're just robbers, looters and murderers and all that kind of thing, you see.
We were excommunicated. They issued a joint pastoral excommunicating anyone who was in the IRA or anyone who supported them, I think. I think they even included those who supported them.
The attitude of the church, well, they condemned us from every angle. I mean, I often went to church and walked out and being pointed out down the end of the church as a robber or murderer or something like that. My father died during the Civil War and they wouldn't allow him into the church because he happened to be my father.
You meet a fellow who was a volunteer and you say, I want you to go over to such and such a place with a dispatch. Well, I can't do that now because I was with the priest at confession. He told me under any circumstances not to do any work for you, so I can't do it.
In the south especially, and in West Cork, which had a tradition against the British forces, they fought very determinedly. But they came up against the same trouble everywhere. The people wanted the end of hostilities, and all their haunts were known. If you wanted to find them, you always had the choice of going here, there, or some other where. And they found that eventually they weren't able to carry on, that they had no popular support.
The end really came when the anti-treaty commander Liam Lynch was killed after a running fight in the Knockmealdown Mountains in Tipperary.